What's up, boys? It's Nick from Team Table 501 here. I'm the king of the scrubs, and today I'm bringing you my going first hero deck profile for December 2020. This is something that I've been keeping in the lab for about a month now because I just haven't found the right list yet. Even this list that I'm about to show you today might not even the right list, but it's the one that I've been doing the best with out of every single list that I've played. Because I've played a going first list without Fusion Destiny. Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. So I played going first list with Fusion Destiny, without Fusion Destiny. I've tried playing it with hand traps, without hand traps. I've tried playing it with board breaking cards. I've tried playing going second, and nothing has just seemed to work. This list I'm about to show you today is the one that's worked the best for me. Oh, but do not take this as like, do not take this as like the best list or anything. I'm not sure that I'll ever find the best list. There are just so many things wrong with the deck that I never think I can find the list to be right. But anyway, if you just want the deck list, it's going to be in the description down below, along with my Facebook and my Twitter. Go follow me, friend me, I post cool shit. And without further ado, let's just get into the deck list. So, like I said, we're playing going first hero. Normally I like playing this deck as a going second deck, but the format just doesn't allow you to play going second right now, so you have to play a going first build. So anyway, so the main deck is 3 copies of Stratos, the best card in the deck by far, being able to search any hero in the deck, and the spell and trap removal effect matters as a follow-up play too, like against Eldritch where they set 4 in the end phase. On your turn, being able to summon this and pop 3 other cards is a super impactful play that you can do on turn 2 or turn 3. And 2 copies of Liquid Soldier. I like playing 2 of this card. I understand it's like $25 or whatever, but the second one comes up so much because the games are just naturally going longer. Like back when the format was essentially FTK or lose, I liked playing 1 of this card because you never needed the ability to summon out of your graveyard. You just always used it to dig deeper into the deck for defensive cards. But now the games are actually going longer. The Monster Reborn effect on this card is super, super impactful, so I like playing 2. If you only have the 1 and you can only afford the 1, I completely understand, but I think optimally the deck should play 2. And then for the one of heroes, I put Solid Soldier back in the deck. This card's just an extender, and you have to play every extender you can play in this deck because you're just not afforded many. It doesn't seem like an extender, but it's a searchable extender because you can just search it at any point throughout the combo. Like instead of searching Liquid Soldier off your Cross Crusader, you can search this card, and then you can summon a thing back from your graveyard, like summon back a Stratos, and then get another search, and you're just like up a card. I'm only playing 1 Shadow Mist. This card isn't a starter or an extender, which is why I cut it down to 1. Normally I like playing 2 of this card because if you open it with Ferris, it's the nuts. But opening any hero with Ferris is the nuts essentially, and this card's super accessible because of Vion and Stratos and E-Call and stuff. So you'll find this card when you want to find it. So that's why I cut it down to 1. And then the 1 Honestinios. I thought about cutting this card entirely because its effect just like doesn't matter anymore. But now that Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is a card, and this lets you, this is a searchable way to out Dragoon because what you can do is you can normal summon Stratos or bait, or like you can bait the Dragoon, get it up to 4,000. Normal summon Stratos, add this to your hand, and now the Stratos can just beat over the Dragoon because this will be at 43. So this is just like a mandatory hero until the Dragoon gets hit. Which sucks, because this is like, it's not a starter and it's not extended. This is like a win more card in the deck, but you have to play it because it outs like every single boss monster that decks are making. So that's it for the elemental heroes. On to the vision heroes. It's just a normal ratio of 3 Ferris, 2 Increase, and 2 Vion. I really wish I could only play 1 Increase because the card's fucking atrocious. It's like the worst card in the deck by a country mile. And as you'll see going on in the profile, I play 44 cards, so opening this card is even more infuriating than ever before. Like, I really wish I could get away with only playing 1 of this card, but it's just not possible. The rest is obvious though. Ferris, best card of the deck. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Ferris, best card in the deck, leads to a lot of your powerful combos. Vion is one of those, like, opening this card isn't terrible because it is a 1 card, it is a 1 card, so 1 card combo to an extent. It lets you end on, the Cross Crusader, the Sunrise, and the Absolute Zero, but that's all this card does. I wanted to say 1 card Dark Claw, but I don't actually think it lets you on a 1 card Dark Claw. Then for the Destiny Heroes, 2 copies of Malicious, because obviously, yeah. I don't know, like, then the Fusion Destiny targets are Celestial and Dynatag. I am playing Fusion Destiny in this deck because the deck just doesn't have extenders. You have to make something if you're going to get interacted with. So at least you get to end on a Dryden if you get interacted with, which is really cool. And it is a dark hero monster that you can then use in the graveyard to revive off. Like you can do things like make Cross Crusader, bring it back out of the graveyard, and then like Honest Neos its attack, and then pop a card again. So you like get utility out of it. Drawing these isn't super bad because they are just like fusion like fodder, but yeah. Yeah, like if it was up to me, I wouldn't play these cards. I would definitely play like other just better cards. The Mally is like required; you have to. Really, this card would just make up its mind about where it was on the other ban list. But anyway, like I just wouldn't play these cards. I'd play other defensive cards, but you just have to play hand traps so that you don't lose. And then the one bar of gold because we have to win the game somehow. And yeah, Bane's busted. Moving on to the hand traps, 3 copies of Ash. Normally I wouldn't play this card, but you have. I wanted to play a hand trap that was super flexible, so I chose Ash. Normally I play a card like Nibiru because of its higher ceiling, but in this deck you can't afford to Nibiru your own board because every single card is worth too many resources. So you can't really main deck a card like Nibiru. Whereas in a deck like Salad, you can main deck Nibiru because you have so many ways to recover those resources. This deck doesn't have that capability, so that's why Nibiru's in my side deck. 3 Imperm, just the best hand trap you can play. And then 2 Ghost Ogre and 2 Crow. I like Ogre a lot this format. Even against the top decks, this card still has applications, but it's mostly here for Zoo and Virtual World. Being able to Ogre all their cards means that like they lose value. And like sometimes randomly against decks like Dragon Link, you can Ogre the Barlow Savage and then it won't do anything. You can Ogre the Hulk, and then they don't have a Link 2 on board, but they can make a Link Cross. That's more against Infernoble, but like Crow is here specifically for Dinosaur because Misk is not a fair Yu-Gi-Oh card. This deck doesn't even play that much interaction, and you still lose to Misk because Misk is just an extender that summons anything out of their deck, so you just have to be able to DD Crow it. And like against other decks, being able to like DD Crow Eldritch, being able to DD Crow whatever Tiger Mortar brings back or Taka 9 brings back is super good. This card just fizzles Pot of Avarice, which matters in the longer games, so these are the hand traps I chose to play. You can mess around with these however you wanted. If you wanted to play Gamma instead of these 4 cards, I guess you could. But I am playing a going first deck, and Gamma's terrible in going first decks, so that's why I'm not a huge fan of it at the moment. If you wanted to cut these for like Book of Moons, you could cut them for like Book of Moons. But again, I'd rather just have actual hand traps. Although maybe Book of Moon is better because Liquid Soldier can draw you into the Book of Moon, but that I just haven't had the chance to test that yet. So that's it for the monsters. On to the spell cards. 1 hero lives, 1 Rhoda, 3 Ethol, maxing out consistency here. Even though we are playing a 44 card deck, we still want to play as many starters as possible. These are all starter cards. Then 3 copies of Mass Change. It's the best fusion spell the deck has access to. Making Dark Claw is super good. Making Acid is super good. Even making Blast against the control decks has come up a lot. This card's just super, super good. And then the best worst card in the deck, 3 copies of Fusion Destiny. I hate this card so fucking much. Those of you who've been watching my profiles for a while now know the disdain I have for this card. At first I loved it. At first I thought it was the best card in the deck, and then it just quickly became the worst card in the deck. But now it is a necessary evil. You just can't, you don't have any ability to play through any interaction because every single hero card locks you in one way or another out of just generic contenders that other decks get to play. So you have to play this card so that you can play through getting interacted with. You have to end on something, like I said earlier. If you end on nothing, you're just gonna die. So you have, and at least if you end on a Trident, you can disrupt their most powerful play and force them to do things. Granted, Yu-Gi-Oh decks are so powerful they probably still can do those things, but at least you're forcing them to have those resources, because sometimes they don't, and then you get another turn, and then you can actually try to play. So, other times you like get to make the massive end board, and then this is your last card, and now you get your massive end board with a Trident to prop your own absolute zero if you have to. It's just super, super good in that situation, but for the most part, this card's just like a medium extender that lets you like make a little bit of a board after you get interacted with. This is a 1-card Dark Law if your hand is terrible, which is the only upside, so yeah, I need to buy ultras of these, but anyway. And then for the searchable fusion spells, 1 Polymerization, 1 Dark Calling, and 1 Miracle Fusion. I actually thought about playing 2 Poly. This is the best one to open out of the 3 of these, because sometimes what you want to do is you want to like Poly, and then have a second one in your deck to search off Vion in a future turn. But it was just super infrequent. Or also, like, sometimes you'd open it, and then you wouldn't need to search it off Vion, and you'd rather just, like, have another card. But yeah, it just didn't come up enough. But opening this card is good sometimes, because, like, you'll start the Ferris play, realize you open Poly, then you're like, oh, sick, I can take an entirely different line, because now I don't have to burn a resource on searching this card. But yeah, I wouldn't play 2 of these. Yeah. I'm just saying it's worth considering, because, like, you'll open it, and then you'll be like, oh, damn, I wanted to search it off Vion, I don't have access to another one. And then, because you have to set it off Wonder Driver so that you have access to it again. So that's the main deck. Like I said, it's 44 cards. Basically, the Ghost Ogres and the Crows were the 41st through 44th card. So if you wanted to cut these to play 40, you could, but then I don't think you're playing enough hand traps. The math checks out enough for me to play 44 and 10 hand traps, and it doesn't affect the consistency too much. But if you wanted to play 40 and you just wanted to play like 3 Imperm and 3 Crow or whatever, you could and just play a 40 card deck and just hope that you can combo every game. So that's it for the main deck. On to the extra deck. We got Rick and Morty and Tops. For the Masked Heroes, 2 copies of Dark Claw. This is the best card the deck has access to by a country mile. It's the most powerful card in the deck. I wouldn't say it's the win condition, but it's very, very, very good. Like, this is what lets you leverage. This is what lets you leverage your combos. It's just like the fact that you can end on a floodgate if you have to. 1 copy of Acid. This is what lets you banish their whole board. And 1 Blast. This card's coming up a lot more now because of control decks being able to bounce like set Conquistadors and set Hakeros and like set nonsense. For the good elemental hero fusions, I'm playing 1 Absolute Zero and 1 Sunrise. These are just mandatory. They come up in every single combo line. Now to the bad hero fusions. This is the fun part of the deck. I'm playing 1 copy of Elemental Hero Escarado. So for those of you who have no idea what this card does, all it is, it's a fusion monster. It's level 8. It's dark. It requires an E hero and a dark, and it gains 100 attack for every E hero in the graveyard, in your graveyard. That's it. This card's fucking atrocious. The only reason it's in the deck is because Fusion Destiny locks you into dark hero monsters after you activate it. So what this card allows you to do is you can activate Fusion Destiny, make a target in the extra deck that I'll show you in a minute, search Liquid Soldier off of your Cross Crusader, and then you can make this card and still get Liquid Soldier's effect. That's the only reason this card is in the deck, to let you draw 2 off Liquid Soldier. That's it. That's the only reason this card's in the deck. If you wanted to cut it and play a different card, go ahead. It's the worst card in the extra by far. But I've had that situation come up more than once where I needed to dig deeper into my deck to find hand traps or other extenders. I needed a dark fusion in the extra deck, and this is the only one that exists. And then 1 Shining. This card's actually okay. You do have a lot of varied attributes in the deck, so you can actually get this thing up pretty high. And then if it ever goes away, like I said, you banish a bunch in this deck. You banish for Vion, you banish for Miracle Fusion. Your cards just naturally get banished, like DD Crow and Hakero and stuff. So you'll randomly just like have 2 targets when this leaves the field. So this card's actually okay. For the Destiny Heroes, I'm playing 1 Dangerous. This is what lets you make the 1 card Dark Claw off Fusion Destiny, and then the Dryden is Destiny Hero Dystopia. These are the 2 common Fusion Destiny targets. If you wanted to cut this one, you could, but I don't really recommend it. I think you have the room in the extra deck to be flexible, having like 1 card that's just dedicated to Dark Claw. And then Dystopia is obviously very good. This card can win you games in time as well because it has a burn effect. And then Evil Hero Malicious Bane, because we have to win the game somehow. This card's very powerful, being able to nuke whole boards. And then for the Link Monsters, 2 copies of Cross Crusader. This card's just boneless Assault. It's literally all it is. It's just boneless Assault. It has basically the same amount of words as Assault, but it just doesn't do as much. The 1 Wonder Driver, my favorite card in the extra deck, being able to reset your fusion spells, super important, and the fact that this floats on Destruction. And then Dread Decimator. I like never made this card, but it's here for when you randomly need to make a big idiot and buff all your other idiots. So that's it for the extra deck. Onto the side deck. The side deck starts off with 3 copies of Gamma and the Driver. This is just the most powerful hand trap in the format. I want this whenever I'm going second against any combo deck because this card just has the ability to end their turn. The brick sucks, but it's fine. Because this card's a light monster, you can make Shining with it, which I actually did that once in one of my remote duel tournaments. I hard opened Poly and Driver. And so on my turn, I went activate Poly, fuse like this, and I think like Shadow Mist or something, make Shining, Shadow Mist effects search Stratos, and I started playing. It was so funny. Like, then 3 copies of Nibiru. I want this specifically against Rogue combo decks because this card just has the ability to end their turn. So decks like Salamangreat, Madolche, other like roguish decks like PK and stuff. This card just has the ability to end their turn on the spot. So. Normally I would main deck a card like this, but the problem is that like a lot of the combo decks just have the ability to play through this card, and like I said earlier, this deck cannot recover from Nibiru wiping its own resources away, so I only want it in a matchup where I know it's going to end my opponent's turn, or likely to end my opponent's turn. If you want to decide deck a different card, if you want to decide deck like Lancias, or like different powerful, like if you want to decide like Kaijus or something, you could do that as well, but I'd rather play the highest impact cards that I can, so I play Nibiru. And then for spell and trap removal, I play 2 copies of Twin Twisters, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, and 1 Red Reboot. I play Twin Twister over Cyclone because I'm playing Dark Claw in the extra deck. Dark Claw means that when you Twin Twister your opponent, those cards get banished, so you basically double Cyclone them. And also the Eldritch matchup. The Eldritch matchup isn't as bad as people think it is. Like, it's rough, don't get me wrong. Well, every matchup's rough because you're playing Hero, but you only really... Ooh. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what's going on today. Let me get some water real fast. Again, I apologize, everyone. I don't know what's going on today. All right, so like I was saying, the Eldritch matchup isn't as bad as people necessarily think it is. So I think you can afford to play a card like Plan. Also, the other control decks in the format, like Zoo and Virtual World and all that, and Ultrageist, uh, Twin is far better against those decks than Cyclone. Cyclone's better against exactly Eldritch and exactly Salad. And then Feather Duster, Red Reboot, just powerful one-ofs. Red Reboot's nuts in this deck because again you can or you can acid and Stratos away the set cards. So this is the only proxy in the deck. It's a Call by the Grave. I literally don't know where mine are. I think I own like 6. I just couldn't find one. But I just wanted a card for I can side it for when I go first in addition to the 3 summon limits. Because normally you take out like some combination of your hand traps and Fusion Destiny, or not Fusion Destiny. You normally take out like hand traps and like an extender or two, so that you can just draw into more powerful floodgates. So yeah, like basically I wanted the ability to take out like my crows and my ogres to board into these cards, and then instead of like I'm basically playing my old list, right? It's just 4 extra cards because of Fusion Destiny, but that's fine. But yeah, Call by the Grave, just a defensive control to it for when you go first. And then Summon Limit's the only floodgate I found this deck could play reasonably. You can play Rivalry, but a lot of decks just don't care about Rivalry. This card has the ability to end their turn, and because you're ending on Darkloth plus this, you can end on it. You don't overly have to worry about getting rid of this card yourself. And unlike Salad, people aren't just naturally going to bring in Twin Twister and Cosmic Cyclone against you. So if you flip this card on them, it's likely to just end the game for you. So that is my going first hero deck profile for December 2020. Like I said earlier, the format's just like super stale to me, so I was trying to play something else that would be more fun. And I've been having a ton of fun like theory crafting with this deck and trying to find like the optimal list and optimal combo lines. But those kind of already exist, you know. Like, I don't think there's anything I can really do to innovate this deck other than like make it better against the overall metagame, and that's what I've been trying to do with this list. I feel like this list does a pretty good job. Like, obviously against like the top tier decks, you don't really stand a chance unless you like go first, you make the big board, and you don't get interacted with. But that's kind of the way it goes. But anyway, like I said earlier, the deck list is going to be in the description down below, along with my Facebook and Twitter. Go friend me, go follow me. I post cool shit. And that's going to do it for this deck profile, everyone. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below. Let me know what changes you would make. Let me know if you want to see a go second list. I do have one of those that's also in the lab. I'd be more than willing to show you, and we can bounce ideas off each other. So, anyway, my name is Nick from Team Table 501. Thank you so much for watching, and give good scrubs. I'll see you next time.